It's the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. I am Josh. You should know that by now. Um, got a 9-gamer tonight. Sorry I missed yesterday. I had to run out and get some stuff for Avery. Can be complicated at times. So, what are we doing here? Rules of the chat. I like when you guys interact with me. But make sure your questions are on the game that I'm on. Otherwise, I will ignore them until the end. And then I won't ignore you anymore because I don't like to ignore you guys. But I like to stay on the topic that I'm on because I get distracted easily. Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, let's hop in. Yeah, I like GPPs. I don't play too much cash. I really need a new computer. My computer's already just like, nope, it wants to retire, and we're not even 2 minutes in. Yeah. First game of the night, we have the Buffalo Sabres traveling to. You can do whatever you want in GPPs. I mean, it's Tuukka Rask against Chad Johnson. Oh, don't even start with the Baby Shark stuff. Oh, God, I've been singing that for hours today. Whew. Listen, the last time Buffalo went into Boston, they were on the back end of a back-to-back and roughed them up pretty good. However, even though Boston one is 22,000 and change, almost 23,000 to full stack here. On price alone, I think you can fade because they're probably going to be chalk. But if you have like a really cheap secondary line that you're comfortable with, Toronto 3. Sorry, got a little choked up there. I think even with the price, you want some exposure to Boston for sure. In one lineup, you kind of have to make a choice here. I think there's other lines that. I don't really know. Like mid-price lines that I really want to use more than Boston. I mean, like maybe. Yeah. Just like going over the games, like. Toronto's going to be popular. I don't know, like Edmonton's on a back-to-back, so the Sharks are probably going to be popular. Minnesota Chicago is a pretty nice game to target. But like looking at a matchup perspective, this is the best matchup on the board. The problem for me is like, do you really want to spend 23,000 on a line? Like that's my biggest issue. And I don't know if it's such a big deal. Yeah, I mean, because they're so cheap. Yeah, well, the later games are always less chalky because people don't want to wait that long. So, like, looking at the early games, Boston, Buffalo, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Nashville, Tampa Bay, LA, Columbus, New Jersey, and Carolina, Colorado. Boston and Toronto are going to just eat that early ownership. Maybe Tampa gets some. Not the best matchup in the world for them. Yeah, Columbus is interesting to me. But let's talk about Boston. So obviously, like, I think a way to get exposure to this game, if you don't want to pay for Boston one, which is, there's not really much I'm going to say about Boston one because you know what you're getting. They're just really fucking expensive. I think a good way to get exposure to this game is using the second line. Krejci, DeBrusque. Oh, man. And, whenever my computer wants to load these things, I'll let you know who the right winger is. Because I can't remember off the top of my head. It's not Heinen. Hit my computer. There we go. Spooner. Yeah. So I think that is a really good way to get exposure to this game. Krejci, DeBrusque, Spooner. They're like 14 and change to stack. You're still getting a really good matchup against Chad Johnson. Also, yeah, Spooner's also on the power play. Krejci's on the second unit with DeBrusque, I believe. So, yeah, obviously I'd want to use Boston one, but if you're struggling because you want to use like the Matthews line and it's literally impossible to fit Boston one, Toronto one in, or you want to use Tampa 2, or you want to use, San Jose, something like that. I think, when push comes to shove, I think Boston 2 for the price is one of my favorite secondary lines tonight, along with there's a couple others obviously, but this gets you exposure to a minus 300 favorite game, which is crazy. Yeah, if you're gonna spread yourself out, yeah, I don't think they're gonna be that hard to fit. You get 50,000, you have 22.5, so that leaves 27 for another line, 2 defenders and a goalie. Obviously you can punt, goalie, defenders, 13. Yeah, it's gonna be possible, but so like if you're making one lineup, you either fade or you go all in. If you're making 3 lineups, I think having some exposure to that game is good. I don't think you need to go all in. I like the second line of Boston tonight for sure. If you can fit Krug, I think you do it. I don't think it's it might be possible if you're using some really cheap guys, like an Arizona 1, something like that. Otherwise, McAvoy is 1,500 cheaper than Krug, or you want to chase Chara for 4,200, or you want to, that's probably, if you want to punt Grizzly Bear at 3,000, you can. But other than that, that's really what I want to do. If you want to dig even deeper, and you want to use Boston 3, I think they're viable as well. I think that's more of an MME line for me. I like the third line. I just don't know if I put them into a one lineup. But if you're making, 5+, I think, Boston 3 is a really sneaky. I don't know if they're going to be sneaky, but everyone's going to be over the top 2 lines on Boston. But yeah, on the Buffalo side, I don't know. I think, I'm pretty sure that Bergeron's going to be going up against Eichel. So that kind of takes me off Eichel. I don't like going up against Bergeron. So if I'm going to use Buffalo in this game, obviously if you want to use Eichel, you can. I just, from a matchup perspective, that's not something I want to do on a 9-gamer. I don't go after Bergeron. I don't go after Kopitar. Those are just the laws of the land when I'm making lineups. But, if you want to go Ryan O'Reilly, Kane, Okposo, I think that's a decent GPP play. You don't I don't know if you want to be chasing those big of an underdogs, but I don't think that matters as much in NHL as it does in like compared to like MLB or MMA, something like that. So I mean, anything can happen in hockey. It's, the variance is much higher with the betting lines, I guess you could say, than like a plus 600 fighter. He's probably going to get curb stomped. So yeah, I don't mind the ROR line. I'm probably not going to have exposure to it. Just I think there's, for the price, there's better options around that price. But if you want to use Ristolainen at 5,100, I think that's okay. Scandella is a decent punt at 3,200. But other than that, I'm kind of ho-hum on Buffalo. Chad Johnson is 6,700 on DraftKings tonight. No, thank you. I don't want a part of that. Yeah, they're tanking. They only know how to tank. I'd rather much use Aranta at 6,900 than Chad Johnson at 6,700. I don't know if I can get behind Chad Johnson 6,700. This is just not the spot to do it. And again, on the flip side, Tuukka Rask 8,500. I'm not spending 8,500 on a goalie in GPP. You want to do it in cash? That's completely fine. That's a different animal. But 8,500 in GPP, fitting Boston 1 with Krug and Rask might actually be impossible. No. I'm not, I'm not playing Tuukka in GPPs. You want to do it in cash? You want to play Chad Johnson? Buckle your seatbelt and go for a ride, but that is probably going to end in disaster. So let's move on to the second game of the night. We have the Ottawa Senators traveling to Toronto to face the Maple Leafs. Going to be a battle of the Andersons. Freddie Anderson against Craig Anderson. Yes. Yeah, what Vought said. Anyway, Toronto won Chalk City tonight. They are 4,600 cheaper than Boston won to full stack. You're getting Matthews. You're getting Nylander. You're getting Zach Hyman. Although he's not like the pluggiest plug to ever plug. Like people, he's actually better than people think. I think he's a better hockey player than a fantasy hockey player. But I do really like this second line tonight as well. I like all three lines for the Leafs tonight. Yeah, Hyman's good on the penalty kill. He's not like a, I don't know, who's a plug? Like a Michael Boddicker type. He's better than that. I do like the second line a lot. I like Kadri, Marleau, and Marner. I think, they've been cooking. I don't know why Dad Blabcock didn't put that line together a few months ago. It's been pretty dynamic. And if you're going cheap, Jesper's got a good shot. I do like that third line. They're cheap. They're like 12,000, something like that. Bozak, Van Zreendijk, JVR. We'll just go with that. And Connor Brown. I'm kind of hoping at some point Kapanen moves up. That dude is lightning on skates. But, he's on the fourth line with Uncle Leo and Dominic Moore, so I don't think you really need to do that. But yeah, in terms of preference, I'd go the Matthews line because he's the best player on the ice. If not Toronto 2, then Toronto 3. Boom, boom, boom. Riley if you can fit him. You know, Jake Gardner's a decent play. He is a little bit pricey, and Riley's only 100 more. You want to go? You still want to use Dermott? Okay, it's kind of chasing, or if you want to use Zaitsev, he's really cheap. Yeah, that's the problem I have with Bozak. I think he's okay. I mean, he has defensive liabilities for sure, but for 4,000, it's kind of like a Joe Thornton scenario. You know what you're getting. Yeah, Kadri and Marner are good together with Daddy Marlowe. On the flip side of this game, I've been avoiding Ottawa a pretty good amount here. This might be a high-scoring game. It's just hard to pinpoint what the Senators are really doing. I know Brassard is back, and he's under 4,000, which is really cheap. Like, the Sens are really, really cheap. You want to use Hoffman, something like that. I saw the Beats post lines this morning, but who knows if they are what they say they are. Yeah, Stone is back too. It's weird because they're so cheap. Like Duchesne, Hoffman. I don't know I think the lines are mixed up because I don't think Colin White's still on the top line. Brassard's 3,800. And Stone is still 6,000. Yeah, I think this is a fairly high scoring game. I think the Senators get overlooked because I think the Leafs are a pretty decent favorite in this game. So I want to see lines, but I like whoever Stone is with the most. White is on it's Duchesne, Hoffman, White, and then Brassard's with Stone and Dzingel. Yeah. Fucking Boucher. Guy Boucher. Yeah, I probably lean the Stone line just because they're super cheap. Yeah, Leafs minus 235. I think that's a little aggressive. I would imagine Hoffman and Duchesne see Kadri, yes. So I like the Stone line if I'm going to go Ottawa in this game. I think it's an MME play. I don't know if I'd jam him in one lineup. But the Leafs being minus 235 is a bit high for me, especially with the Leafs blue line. I think this could easily be like a 4-3, 5-3, 5-4 type of game. So I have no issue if you're making multiple lineups going after Ottawa. I mean, for me, I'm going to make my lineups after the show. And I'm sure Ottawa's going to be on the list, but I don't think they're going to make the final cut. Karlsson, if you could fit him in at 6,100, I think this is a prime time spot for Erik Karlsson. If you want, to punt, Cody Cece's not bad. Shabbat, not bad. I'm not a huge Dion Phaneuf guy, but he's super cheap. If you like rostering road cones, go for it. Freddie Anderson, 8,300. No, thank you. No, thank you. I know he's... Whew. That seems like a personal problem there, Terry. I think because the Leafs are a minus 235 favorite, Freddie may get some ownership, and I don't want anything to do with it in GPPs or cash. That's a little too pricey for me. On the flip side, Craig Anderson at 7,000. Again, I'd rather use Ronta from the lower tier. If you're using the Senators and you want to correlate, it's a bit scary rostering Craig Anderson, but I don't think this is a blowout scenario for the Leafs. The problem is the Leafs are going to score, so I don't know if Craig Anderson's really going to pay off. So I'm probably fading the goalies from this game. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Nashville Predators traveling to Montreal to face the Canadiens. It's going to be Carey Price. I would imagine it's Pekka Rinne. Obviously, they don't confirm until warm-ups. But it's a 7 o'clock game, so you'll know early. Carey Price, 7,100, super cheap. Philip Forsberg is back on the top line. All the top 3 lines are back to what they were. I think, Nashville one's a little expensive for me using them on the road. They're a little over 18,000. I think I would much prefer to use a Toronto one or a Tampa 2 or something like that around that price range, even Carolina, before I would get to the Nashville top line. I think, again, Nashville one is more middle of the road play for me. I don't really like using them on the road. I think it's an MME play. If you're, mass entering, I think, having exposure to that line because they can go off at any time is ideal. But for me, in a one lineup scenario, I'm probably going to fade them. The second line, I probably would have more interest in the second line, but I'm not super high on the Predators tonight. I just it's hard for me to stack against Carey Price. I know he's not who he was or is. I don't know. I don't really like this game from a DFS perspective. I kind of like using Carey Price tonight at 7,100. I'm not really high on Montreal's lines either. So, what did I just do here? Oh, there we go. I think, for me, I'm probably just going to fade this game. I'm not really about it. So, you want to use defensemen in this game? I think, PK Subban's a decent play. Roman Josi, obviously. Ryan Ellis, Petrie, if you want to spend up for that. I think those 4 guys are in play. But, for me, I'd rather just... what the hell did I do? Hold on. Is he back being cheap? He was like 50-some hundred the last time I saw him. What did I do? 4,500 on FanDuel is cheap. Yeah, I'd much prefer him on FanDuel. Let me pull him up on DraftKings here. Yeah, he's 5,300 on DraftKings. It's a tough pill to swallow. I'd rather use Ryan Ellis at 5,200 than Petrie at 5,300. Both Subban and Josi are expensive, 6,400 and 6,600. But I think they're decent plays if you have the salary. Goalies in this game, I like both in GPPs. I think Carey Price for 7,100. I think you got to have some exposure to him at that price. And if it's Pekka at 8,200, I'm not thrilled about the price, but I think you can use him at 8,200. Let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning, the LA Kings traveling to Tampa to face the Lightning. It is gonna be. If, my computer wants to work, that'd be swell. Thank you. Quick versus Vasilevsky. I think I like because I would imagine Stamkos is going to go up against Kopitar. So that's not ideal. That kind of wipes those lines out for me a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you still want to use Stamkos, I think that is perfectly fine. But for me, it is Kemper. Yeah, okay. No worries. Yeah. So for me, I like the second line of Tampa Bay. Um, they are a bit pricey, but that is a better matchup. They're probably going to get Kempe, which is good for Tampa. So it's Point, Kucherov, and Killorn. I like that Killorn's on the power play with Kucherov. I think Point is too, actually. Actually, I'm not sure. Killorn might be on the second unit. Either way, they all get power play time. Um, so yeah, Point's on the second. Yeah, I'm having a moment. So yeah, Tampa 2 is in play for me for sure. Um, I think they're going to get decent ownership, but they won't be as high as you think. Boston, Toronto definitely going to soak up most of the early ownership. Um, Tampa 1, if you're okay with going up against Kopitar, the Lightning are at home, so maybe they do get him out against, a depth line here and there. So I I think it's an okay play. It wouldn't be on a one lineup type of deal. That'd be a MME type deal. Uh, I'm not very high on the Kings lines tonight. You want to use Kopitar with Muzzin or Kopitar with Doughty, I think that's okay. But other than that, um, I think there's better spots tonight than the Kings. They're on a back-to-back on the road, so not my favorite matchup. Um, Vasilevsky at 8,000, I think is a decent play. I think you can use him in cash, you can use him in GPPs. Kemper at 7,100. Not thrilled about it, but if you are using Kings, I think you can correlate there. Let's move on to the next game of the night. Ow, my ribs hurt. The New Jersey Devils are traveling to Columbus to face the Blue Jackets. It is Keith Kincaid. I think, did Bob start? Yeah, Bob is going back to back, isn't he? Did Columbus play yesterday? I'm just a mess right now. Yeah, that's right. I think he's gonna go again tonight, though. I saw something that says he's probable. Anyway, I really like, even though Columbus is on a back to back, I really like their top line tonight. They're only 16,000 a full stack. I think this is a decent spot. Yeah, Torts, doesn't really buy into professional athletes getting tired, which is why they never get out of the second round of the playoffs, because by then they're just dead. I do really like that top line tonight, though. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Panarin, and Atkinson. They're going to avoid Taylor Hall. They're getting Keith Kincaid. So for me, I do really like that top line. I think Seth Jones is the defenseman to go with them tonight. Zach Werenski almost got his dick chopped off last night, which was horrifying. Like, that would suck. Like, he took the blade of the skate to the groin. Like, that was scary. Like, luckily he was okay, but I still, that injury not happening. I mean, obviously he's okay, but I still think Seth Jones is the preferred play there. You want to go Savard. I think he's a decent punt. You can go there as well. From the Jersey side, it is Bob on a back-to-back. So obviously having some Taylor Hall, he was expensive, but having some Taylor Hall could be decent. I'm not really too high in New Jersey tonight. But Taylor Hall is one of the best players in the NHL, so I think you can have some of him. Sami Vatanen's an okay play. But other than that, I'm kind of mum on New Jersey. You want to go back to that second line, I think there's better options than that tonight, but you can. Miles Wood with Palmieri and Zacha. It's okay. I think they're going to have more ownership than they should. just because they've been really good lately, and this isn't the best matchup in the world, even though it is Columbus on the back-to-back. Again, Bob doesn't... If it is Bob, it doesn't really interest me at 7,900. Keith Kincaid doesn't really interest me either. He's been getting crushed lately. So I can see why people want to use Kincaid a little bit, just because Columbus is on a back-to-back, and it's always a decent idea to target teams that are on a back-to-back, but I'm not really interested in Keith Kincaid. If Korpisalo does end up getting the start, I think he is viable in GPPs. I do really like Korpisalo. I think you can make a case in GPPs. Bob worries me a little bit at 7,900. He's been a bit shaky lately. Yeah, we're going to get to Cam Ward real close here. Let's move on to that game. Got the Colorado Avalanche traveling to Carolina to face the Hurricanes. I'm like winded. I'm winded from talking right now. I need to exercise. It's going to be Cam Ward against Semyon Varlamov. Yeah. At some point, I do need a co-host. No, I don't smoke. I know. I do have a date tonight, though, so maybe I'll get some exercise in. Probably not. We'll see. In this game, I do like Carolina top line, but, they shoot the puck a lot. Do they score a lot? Not really. But, I do like the TSA line, so they're definitely in play. Yeah, shooters shoot. What are we doing here? I mean, that's really the only line I like from this game is Carolina 1. You would knee 5, knee 69 tilt. I don't mind Varlamov, actually. He is a little pricey for me on DraftKings. Yeah, I don't mind it, actually, because that Carolina is going to get a bunch of shots. They do have tendencies to struggle to score. 7,700 is a bit expensive. If he was like 73, I'd be more gung-ho about Varlamov. But, I can definitely see Varlamov in a GPP. There's definitely worse goalies to play. Cam Ward is 7,800. Which is weird for me to say in February 2019. I think he's viable in GPPs as well. The one thing that does concern me is the shot volume that Colorado is going to get off. It could easily be like a 19 shots and they score 2 goals, and that just crushes Cam Ward's value. That does worry me a bit. But if you're using Carolina, obviously it makes sense to use Cam Ward here. I feel dirty recommending Cam Ward in cash. Like, I feel absolutely dirty doing that, but I think he's viable in cash tonight. Jesus fucking Christ. I need a CAT scan. I need evaluation. I need... Recommending Cam Ward in cash. I think I need to retire. Holy hell. I need to reevaluate my choices. But yeah, I think you can make a case for Cam Ward in cash. Fuck, that hurts to say, but here we are. Let's move on to the next game of the night. Cam Ward in cash. Holy shit. The Philadelphia Flyers are traveling out to Arizona to face the Coyotes. It's going to be Brian Elliott against Antti Ranta. Philadelphia 1's super expensive. They're almost 20,000 full stack. And if I'm going to go around 20,000, I am most definitely paying up for Boston 1 90 of the 100 times. Yeah, I think Elliott's a good play tonight. Yes. Um, Philadelphia won. If you're, you're going to pay up for them, I'm not going to talk you off of it. I'd rather spend the extra couple thousand and get Boston one. You want Philadelphia one, I think it's more of like a 3 to 5, 5 to 10 lineup scenario. If you're jamming in Philadelphia, I think Arizona's a better team than people give them credit for. Um, they're not great by any means, and they don't close. And I think this is a winnable game, obviously for Philadelphia, but it's not going to be like a 7-1 game. It's probably going to be more like a 3-2 type deal. Yeah, and I'd be more apt to use the second line. They are getting a little bit pricey. Nolan Patrick going up, but Simmons, Patrick, and Voracek is more attractive to me than spending up for 20,000 on the top line. I think I prefer Provorov. Just it's like the Provorov Ghost Bear, Yandel Ekblad debate. I'm more likely than not going to use Ekblad and Provorov just for the peripheral stats. Obviously the other, Ghost and Yandel are obviously on the power play, but I think, I go with the other guys and, for the periffs, and you live with the if Yandel or, whatever scores on the power play. So I'd probably go Provorov. So I think my preferred line actually is Philly too. I don't know if I want to spend 20,000 on Philly one, but I completely understand if you want to. This is a decent matchup. On the flip side, Arizona's top line is a decent play. They're super cheap. Let you get in a Boston, Stephen Keller, and it's Perlini, I think. But yeah, I'm not super thrilled about Philly tonight. I just don't like targeting the Coyotes in Arizona. It's not something I like to do. Yeah, I mean, if you really, if you're trying to get in like Boston one and Krug, I think Arizona two is the line to go. They're under 10,000. I think you can go Ottawa two as well. I mean, they're like 11,000. Yeah, I mean Arizona two is so fucking cheap. Dvorak, Panic, and or not Domi, um, Reader. They're so cheap, and they're all you really need is one goal from them, and that's not like it's super out of the question. Like Philadelphia is not very good defensively. Um, that being said, I do like Elliott tonight, but I also like, yeah, Fisher. Sorry, not Reader. Um, yeah, I like Raanta and GPPs. Yeah, Riders with Domi. I had my screen was wrong. I like Raanta and GPPs at 6,900. I don't think this is going to be the super high scoring game that people think. Um, so I think both are in play. Elliott and Raanta in GPPs. I honestly am gonna favor Raanta a little bit just because the Arizona's at home. Um, but Elliott certainly makes sense. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Chicago Blackhawks traveling to Minnesota to face the Wild. It's going to be Devin Dubnyk against Jeff Glass. Do-do-do-do. What did I do here? What the beep? I'm so technologically impaired, it's severe. Yeah, I don't think they hard match, to be honest with you. I would imagine it's like a 70-30 split. What the hell is going on? Yeah, it's probably gonna be mixed. Um, there we go. Okay. Neither really excite me as a shutdown, but you know, Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think Philly 1's going to dominate by any means, no matter who they're going up against. I think it's going to be a neutral zone slugfest. Whoever can win the neutral zone is going to win this game. So, Minnesota and Chicago. For me, Chicago 2 is my favorite line in this game. I know Minnesota's healthy, but I do like this Chicago line. They're probably going to get. I would imagine Koivu goes up against Tays, so they're going to get Stahl. Shit, come on. This stupid computer. There we go. So for me, this is a Chicago 2 game for me. I also like the Koivu line. I do like. I'm not really thrilled about using Minnesota tonight. I don't really like this game. I don't really like using the Hawks, but if I'm going to use the Hawks, I'm definitely going to use. Yeah, definitely use the Kane line against Stahl and Nino. They're cheap, and Kane's expensive, so they're cheap. I like that line, but you want to use them with Seabrook. I think that's a decent play. Seabrook has been shooting the puck a lot. If you want to pay it for Keith, okay. Osterley is okay as well. One thing, I forgot to mention Arizona D-men. If you've been noticing, Chikrin has been getting less ice time since the All-Star break. I think Goligoski's been getting more of the ice time. I think Goligoski does jump ahead of Chikrin in the pecking order of defensemen on Arizona that I want to use. Just want to get that out there. So yeah, Chicago 2 for me, or Minnesota 1. I think those are the lines that I would want to use from the game. You want to use Coyle and Parisi. I think that's okay as well. I don't know if you need to go down that far, but that's in play as well. The Minnesota defenseman, I think I like a little bit more. I like Spurgeon, I like Dumba, I like Suter in that order. But from an offensive standpoint, I'm probably fading this game. I know Minnesota's a favorite in this game, obviously. It is Jeff Glass, so listen. I wasn't like knocking him for playing Riley because it paid off. No. We're going to talk about it. I wasn't knocking him because he played Riley. The point I was trying to make was if you're paying $2,700 for defensemen who are playing 11 minutes a night, more often than not, it's going to burn you. You can pay $2,800 for a defenseman. Make sure he's playing 15, 16 minutes a night. 11 minutes a night, you got to get it done real quick. Yeah. So let's move on to the last game of the night. We have the Edmonton Oilers traveling to San Jose to face the Sharks. It's going to be Aaron Dell. I think it's probably going to be Al Montoya. Yeah. So for me, it's Sharks. Sharks. I'm probably, the top line for the Sharks. Excuse me. Definitely a play. Couture, Hurdle, LeBanc. If you can get him in with Burns, I'd do it. Baby shark doo 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 doo. Baby shark doo 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 doo. I also really like Pavelski with Meyer and Donskoy, but I do prefer the Couture line. I'm not really interested in Edmonton on the back-to-back here. I think I want Aaron Dell. He's much better. I know I was like the biggest cheerleader for the Sharks to um, the biggest cheerleader for the Sharks to start Dell. Um, he shit the bed in his opportunity. Not that Martin Jones has been doing anything with it. He has like a 898 save percentage since December 31st, which is. But Aaron Dell in the backup is better than Aaron Dell as starter. 7,600 is a nice price. So I want some GPP exposure to him. Al Montoya, 7,000. Probably going to get blasted by David Staples because he's a fucking idiot. And no goalies start. No media is worse than the Edmonton mainstream media. They're just a bunch of fucking donkeys. That being said, I don't want any part of Al Montoya, 7,000 back-to-back on the road. So that is the 9-game slate. I think it'd be more of a, if he continues to back up Jones well, I think you're going to see, if, the Sharks are going to stick with Martin Jones, I think you're going to see Aaron Dell traded at the draft. Who turns me on the most? Baby Shark. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Yeah, but maybe they buy him out. You never know. I think I do really like this Toronto second line tonight. Obviously, like, Boston in a vacuum is my favorite. But I do like Toronto. I do like Tampa. I like Columbus. I like the Sharks. There's a lot to like on this slate. Gilmore and Pionk. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Gilmore is fast as fuck. So his skill made up for, or his speed. What teams do you like tonight? Doesn't mean I don't like him. Maybe I just like other teams more. Also, I'm shouldn't take what I say as gospel. I've been wrong more than I've been right, probably. Yeah, I'm not super thrilled about Philly. I mean, I obviously get the play. Philly in a vacuum, the top line, I like. It's just they're a little bit too expensive. Like, it's not that I don't like Philly. I just don't like the price on Philly. I mean, I would want, like, the Wayne Train and Voracek. I think, yeah, I threw a lineup in the 33Q. I'm kind of like at the point where I'm just like, if I win, I win. I'm not going to really chase it. That being said, I am in the final round of the fight to the finish MMA final tonight. So if I have a big cash there, I'll probably throw a couple bullets in, the 1K or something. Yeah. Thank you. I do like San Jose tonight. Rockhold. The thing is, like, it's so funny, like, that Yoel Romero missed weight and everyone made a big deal about it, that he can't win the interim title. But if he beats Rockhold, he's obviously going to still fight Whitaker for the title. So I think, Yoel Romero in round 1 or 2. Otherwise, Rockholtz is going to rough him up. Also, Yoel doesn't have the best gas tank in the. Yoel doesn't have the best gas tank in the world. I haven't read Brett's stuff yet. I don't know if I'm going to at this point because I made my lineup. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I would. I want to use Ronta. I will say I do like Philly more on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings. If you're playing on FanDuel, if that helps. Price. Yeah. They're much cheaper on FanDuel. Like if Philly one was like 15,000 instead of almost 20,000. Yeah, I think Pavelski's gonna go up against. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check 80's line matching. Yeah, I don't know if Mark Hunt's. There's not many underdog. I think Ishihara is going to be the most popular underdog, which is, I think, a mistake. I think Tecco is going to beat him pretty good. I mean, even if Couture gets McDavid, so what? The McDavid line isn't good defensively. I don't know. I think we're going to Brazilian Steakhouse. Why is Ross Pearson a favorite? I don't know. I have Hirota in that fight. All right, guys. Yeah, Rodizio, yeah. There's a place right by my house that's really good. It's not. Uh, I didn't clean shave. I shaved Wednesday. I didn't clean shave. I'm not Santa Claus. Yeah, gonna get some meat sweats. I went 6 weeks without shaving because I was in the hospital with Avery. Didn't bring a razor. Yeah. Good luck, guys. Good luck tonight. Um, hope you guys win some money. I hope I win some money, but I hope you guys win money more because then I did something right. Like if you guys are winning money, that means I'm probably winning money. Um, but enjoy the rest of your weekend. Um, I don't know how many games are tomorrow, but there's no NFL, so I'll probably pop on, talk about life. Um, yeah, keep the streak going, and we'll catch you tomorrow.